Hello, I'm Brad Phillips here with Puppy Steps Training, and today we're going to be doing Bear's demonstration for you. So this is video number 2. This is specific to Bear. It covers his manners, his obedience commands, and his leash work. So we're going to go through each one of those, go through a point, explain what my expectations are, and demonstrate it for you. Make sure that you watch the first video, which is that informational video, before watching this one. So that goes over my 3 keys to success. So the consistency, the follow through, and the management. It also goes over what my expectations are as far as potty training, as well as crate training, which I do want to touch on those really quick, just specific about Bear. So Bear's potty training is great. He's doing wonderful. He rings the bells. He's going to the bathroom outside. We haven't had an accident in quite a while. So I'm very, very happy with where he's at. One thing though, is especially with like my dogs, the initial greeting of the day, sometimes he will excitedly pee. Sometimes he'll even do that for me. It's not every time, and it's not super often, but I feel like he does it a couple times a week where he gets really excited, and if he hasn't gone for a little bit, he will excitedly pee. So I would make sure that those initial greetings or those initial introductions with your other dogs or with family members, make sure that you have taken him to the bathroom first, just to avoid any issues there. But like I said, it's not severe, and it's not something he does all the time, but he does do that periodically. The other thing I want to touch on is the crate training. So Bear and his brother Sebastian have been a little bit more difficult in the crate. Like they just don't settle down as well. And so you'll be able to hear probably on that mic, that really high-pitched whine. So that's also why you can see that I have him covered. So we've been working a lot on keeping him uncovered and just trying to help him settle down. But if I am in front of him, if I have another dog out, or if I'm just even in here talking, he thinks that he needs to be with somebody all the time. So we've spent a lot of time doing isolated crate training, so where he's by himself, also with other dogs around. And he doesn't settle down very easily. He will eventually settle down, and he's good for a few hours, and then once there's some stuff going on, he thinks he needs to whine a little bit more. So it is very important that you never let him out when he's doing this. Like, never. Otherwise, it's just going to get worse. And this is where he's at now is night and day different than where he was. He gave us a run for our money when it came to the crate training. Not that he was ever really having accidents. It was just he didn't want to settle down. But he'll settle at night. He sleeps through the night, no problem at all. 8 hours, doesn't make a peep. But during the day, especially if somebody's around, he doesn't like being locked up if there are other people or other dogs out. So he's got a little bit of that FOMO. So covering him helps dramatically. Like if I cover him, he will settle down a lot quicker and he'll be fine. But I don't want him reliant on that cover. It's also going to be very important for him that you do maintain this crate training. Put him in there during the day when you are home as well as when you're gone. He needs to just figure it out that he's not going to get let out, that there are times where he just needs to relax in the crate and settle down. So I just barely stuck him in there. I've been just kind of working with him a little bit this morning, and we went outside and went to the bathroom, and so I did cover him initially just to help hopefully keep him calm while I'm talking so that we don't have that whine going on in the mic. But so now we are going to dive into his manners. So the first manner that we're going to talk about and that I'm going to show you is his gates and his doorways. So we expect an automatic stay, so I don't have to tell him to stay, but we expect this automatic behavior at any closed door or gate that we are letting him go through or going through together. So anytime he comes out of the crate, I expect him to be patient, be under control, and wait to be released. If we're going through an exterior door or a closed door, I'm going to expect him to wait. Now, he doesn't need to sit, he doesn't need to lay down, he just needs to show that he's in control and he's not going to run through. So one of the other classic things with Bear is he's kind of just a happy-go-lucky guy, and sometimes he doesn't just recognize thresholds. So if that door's been just wide open, I'm not going to expect him at this stage to recognize that threshold. So that's why I'm really sticking to anything that I'm letting him go through or that we're going through together. So this is something that, as long as you're consistent, can build up to any threshold in your home. But bare minimum, keep this expectation with exterior doors and with any crate doors or gates that you're going through together. So as I let him out of the crate, if he did try and come through, I'm just going to tell him no and do it again. So if he just even sticks one paw, I'll just close that crate door. And then I'll slowly open it again and just make sure that he's stable. Once again, I won't ever tell him stay, because this should be an automatic behavior. Now when I go through this exterior door, because I'm going to let him out, have him ring the bells, so you can see him ring the bells, and then we're going to go to the bathroom outside. So when he goes through this door, I will have the leash attached, so if he tried to walk through, I could just pop that leash, make sure that he stayed. Or I'll open the door with my back facing outside so that I can use my feet or my legs to block him. So he never gets to just break through and run off. If he does, if he manages to break through, I'm going to go and get him and have him do it again. I don't want Bear thinking that if he's fast enough or if he thinks he's sneaky enough, he can get away with ignoring these manners. And this is going to go for any of them. I always train to success. I always help him succeed. So we're going to pull him out now, and you're going to see him coming out of this crate. Okay, good boy. And I'm going to hook this leash on him. And we're going to walk over to the door, and I'll have him ring these bells. Okay, outside, good boy. Now when you're having him do this the first time, you could even have him ring it a second time just to really ingrain that through. Okay, outside, good boy. And then we're going to go outside. So once again, he's not allowed just to come running through. He needs to show that he's under control. Okay, good boy. So he once again doesn't have to sit, just show control. Okay, so same expectation for coming in. He doesn't need to sit, just needs to show some control. So when I take him outside, these first couple weeks, you're taking him out on a leash, giving him the opportunity to go. So when he went, I said, okay, get outside. And then I gave him a treat. So, but that is our gates and our doorways. So now we're going to talk about our greeting, or our sit to greet, which is actually what Bear's doing right now. So if he wants my attention, he needs to sit to get it. So this behavior is a replacement behavior for jumping. It helps him be in control. He's not begging for attention, but he's doing something that's polite and respectful. And this is what we want. We want him just to settle, be in control. So he's not pawing me, he's not jumping, he's not getting out of control. Now this greeting, he doesn't have to do every time you want to pet him, but this is something I like regular check-ins. So if I've been away from him, for a little while, or he's been in the crate, or maybe he's really excited, I want to expect this check-in. So we're at a point where I'm not giving him a treat for coming over and sitting all the time. Sometimes I'll just give him my attention because that's what he's looking for. He's looking for some affection. However, for the next 2 weeks, I would make sure that you don't ignore this behavior, because Bear's one where eventually, which you'll probably see it, he gets a little impatient. If we don't give him that attention, then he starts offering behaviors to get our attention, and we don't want him to start offering, maybe impolite behaviors. So I want you to recognize this. I want you to give him attention, affection, and maybe some treats. So for the next 3 days, you're going to do an exercise 3 or 4 times a day, which I'm going to show you now. This is kind of our greeting exercise. It's also an engagement exercise. So this is just going to help Bear understand that the same expectations apply to you as they do for me. So he's going to show that he's polite, and he's going to get rewarded for it. And it's going to become very rewarding for him to pay attention to you. So what you're going to do, you're going to take that treat bag that I'm sending home with you and a leash. You're going to take some treats, and you're just going to say his name, take a few steps back, and then wait for him to sit. We're going to do this 3 times in a row. The first 2, he's going to get a treat for. The third one, he's going to get affection. So it's going to look like this. I'll say, Bear, take a few steps back. Okay, good boy. So I say, okay, and then give him that treat. Bear. I stop walking. Okay, good boy. Bear. So if he goes a little bit too far to this side, I can guide him back. Bear wants to be, okay, good boy, the closest to the treats. He loves food. He's very food motivated, loves treats, but he wants them quick and he wants them easy. So sometimes he tries to cut corners. He tries to get as close to the treat pouch as possible. And sometimes he thinks, well, I don't really want to do that. How about I do this behavior instead and you give me treats? Good boy. But that exercise, everybody that has regular interactions with Bear, hey, is going to do, and you're going to do it repeatedly for the first 3 days, just to help him engage with you, help him understand that the same expectations apply. So as I said, this is a replacement behavior for jumping, and you can see that Bear's getting a little bit excited. He's not jumping on me, but he is kind of rearing up, kind of outside of my bubble, which is kind of that yellow light. So if he ever put paws on me, I'm going to tell him no, off, and I will bring my knee up. So I'm not kicking him, we're not extending, but we're giving him a very quick correction, telling him I don't like that, and then the moment he sits, then I'll tell him, good boy, and reward that. If he continued to try and jump out here, like if I was walking and he started jumping, I can just kind of step into him and say no, because I don't want that to become an issue where then he starts to jump on me. So I have been actually correcting that behavior. Bear was very jumpy, and he quickly figured out that he could try and jump from behind and he wouldn't get corrected. And so if he does that, I just bring my heel up. Once again, I'm not trying to kick him, but I just want a very abrupt and very distinct adjustment in my body language to help him understand that that's not an okay behavior. If he tried to jump up on, the cabinets or up on the couch, I would tell him off, and usually I'll accompany that with like a clap just to really drive that point home. And sometimes I'll even accompany it with a correction. So I might say, no, off, something like that, just to really help him understand that I don't want him doing that. If I am down at his level and I'm petting him, he's still not allowed to jump up on me. Oh boy. So even if he just stuck a paw up here, I would correct that, because one paw always leads to two, which leads to him in my face. Now, if we want to sit all the way on the ground and pick him up and put him in our lap, that's fine, but he doesn't get to push and beg for that behavior. So if he did, which I try and set him up all the time. So even if he put that paw up, I would tell him no, off, and I would slide him away and stop petting him. So I'd take my hands away. So taking your hands away is very important, because your hands give everything good, right? They give him treats, they give him pets. And so by removing our hands, we're really showing him that, hey, I don't appreciate this behavior. So I'll slide him away, tell him no, off. I take my hands away, look for a little check-in. So a check-in would be him sitting, being polite. Oh, good boy. Then I can go back to petting him. If he did it again, I would tell him no, off, and I would stand up. So now I'm removing myself from him, and he has to be polite and in control in order to get my attention again. So same thing, if I was down here petting him and he tried to mouth on me, I would tell him no, and I remove my hands. So I kind of set him up there, kind of pushing my hands in his face. But if he tried to bite like my watch band, I put sleeves, I'll do this and just try and get him to mouth on me. Or if I was wearing a hoodie and my strings were in his face, if he put his mouth on me, I'm going to tell him no, grab his muzzle. So I'm not going to clamp down, I'm not injuring him, I'm not trying to inflict harm, but it's just no, and then I take my hands away. Because once again, I look for this check-in. Oh, good boy, then I can go back to petting him. If he did it again, I'm going to tell him no, stand up, remove myself. So same thing, if he tried to bite my pant leg, my shoelaces, I'm just going to tell him no. Wait for him to show that he's in control. Good. And then I can go back to petting him. So failure is very important. It's a very important part of learning, and I want to make sure that I mark that failure with the no, so I'm correcting him. But then I want to make sure that I pair it with rewarding him for a behavior that he's successful at. And that's why I look for that check-in, I look for that calm, control, and then we're good. We can keep petting, we can keep loving on him. But he doesn't get a jump. He needs to show that he's being polite when he greets me, and he can't mouth on me. Now, with all of this, if we are meeting new people, so I do not want new people to become a really high value reward. So one, when you're on the street, maybe you're going for a walk, you are going to have people say, oh my gosh, your dog's so cute, can I pet him? 95% of the time, I am saying no. The polite way to do that is just say, no, we're in training, and move to the side and help him be in control. So the majority of the time, I do not want people coming up and petting him. Because what happens when people come up and greet your dog? He jumps, he mouths, he gets to be out of control, and people say, no, it's okay, I love dogs, because they don't want you to correct him. And sometimes we're not comfortable correcting our dog in front of other people. So I don't want to put him in that situation where he learns, oh, if there's new people around, I can get out of control and I get rewarded for it. So 95% of the time, you're just going to say, no, he's in training, move him to the side of the sidewalk, and just reward him for sitting and being a good boy and being in control. But if you do let people pet him, and especially every new person that asks, your walk is going to start to become a nightmare where he just pulls to every person he sees because he thinks that they're there to see him. So I want myself to be the distributor of all good things. So even if you do decide like, hey, this person's okay, they can meet him, I don't let other people give my dogs treats. He doesn't need to be rewarded for meeting other people. Now, that 5% of the time that maybe you say, okay, maybe it's somebody you know, so you're going to stop and talk to them. Or if you're like myself, I'm really good about telling other adults, no, absolutely not. But little kids, I'm kind of a sucker, and I'm like, yeah, you can come pet my puppies. Now, if I'm doing that, come here. If I was walking up, somebody says, oh, can I see him? I would say, yes, this is Bear, but he does need to be in control. So I would stop maybe 5 or 6 feet short, have him do this sit for me, tell him he's a good boy, give him a reward, pet him, and then invite that person up. So by allowing them to approach us, if he jumps or pulls, I can correct him very quickly. And it's not like he jumps and gets there because it's the last foot, right? So if he did get out of control while they were approaching, I would say, hold on, no, and I would correct him. We would get some space. That might only be 10 feet. I'm going to ask for this little check-in. Then we would approach again, have him sit. Oh, good boy, no. Have him do this sit, reward him for that, but you don't get a creep. Have them come up. After they leave, I will have him sit again and reward him. So that way he gets rewarded for being calm before and after. If he started jumping up, I am going to tell him no, correct him, get some distance. So I don't want him thinking, once again, that he can jump up on new people. I need him to be in control. Okay, so that's his greeting. The other aspect to this is just giving him treats, especially when you're doing this. Bear, come here. So he does not need to meet me halfway. So if I'm going to give him a treat, Bear, if he reared up at all, I'm going to pull that treat away and tell him no. Or if he tried to grab it, maybe I felt his teeth, I would tell him gently. So I expect him to be very soft when taking a treat. So usually, or the majority of the time, I give him a treat in the palm of my hand, and I'll actually cover it with the thumb. So that way he has to use his tongue in order to get it, and I can control that treat. I can control when he gets it. He doesn't get to, put teeth on my hand. If he was being a little mouthy, I can just tell him gently. And we practice giving him a treat between my thumb and pointer finger. But that's not the way I like to, because that's kind of asking him to nip my fingers. But we've been working on this because this is how kids give treats. I can tell him gently. Oh, good boy. And I expect him to be very soft. Okay. Mealtime manners. So anytime I feed Bear, I expect him to hold an automatic sit stay. So you'll notice, he sits automatically anyway. It kind of pairs with that greeting. But now I involve food. So if he tries to break from this, I will tell him no and lift that food bowl back up. If he was really persistent at breaking, I might actually tell him to stay on this one. No, but I want this to be an automatic behavior. No. So he doesn't get to encroach here. He needs to stay put. That's him getting impatient. Okay, good boy. So you notice I just stepped into him and told him no. And he will inhale his food. So I believe we've been feeding him with a slow feeder just to actually, slow him down. So I don't typically take his food bowl away because that would drive me crazy if somebody just came and took my food away and was like, are you under control? I mean, I might punch somebody if they do that. But just for the sake of showing you that again, I am taking his food bowl away. So I shake that bowl, he sits down, I take a step back and set it down. If he ever pops up, I tell him no and lift that food bowl back up. If he moves closer, I will step in and back him up. Okay, good boy, good boy. You'll notice I don't want him to ever get aggressive towards his food. Like I said, he inhales it. You just love your food. So instead of taking his food bowl away, sometimes I'll come over, I'll pet him, or I'll throw treats in his food bowl. I want it to just be very positive, me being around his food. Good boy. And that's the same with, bully sticks or toys or just anything that's his. I want to make sure that he's comfortable. There's just some dog food. Comfortable with me handling his stuff, and that he's not going to, get tense, growl, or snap at me. I want him to be, understand that I'm not a threat and that I control everything. Good boy. Boy. This also kind of relates to handling. So I want to make sure that he's comfortable being handled. So that's why we practice, our vet holds. We've given him all his vaccines. I handle his ears. Your ears need cleaned, huh? Good thing you're going to get a bath. We put him in all sorts of different holds and situations just to make sure that he's going to be calm. He's going to be polite, and he's not going to try and throw a temper tantrum to get away. So like if I was clipping his nails and he didn't like it, I'm never going to let him go if he squirms. So if I was clipping these nails and he started pulling away, I would just hold his arm. I'll take a step back. I want him to be comfortable so I can readjust him, but I don't want him thinking that if he throws a temper tantrum, he can get away with not being brushed or not having his nails clipped. But when I put him through kind of some uncomfortable stuff, I do give him some treats in return. I want to pay him for being polite. Good boy. Good dog. Which we've brushed him daily. We've trimmed around his eyes, hygiene cuts, clip nails. So he's been put through the ringer there. Okay. Okay. So chewing. Bear is in the middle of teething, so he needs to chew. It's important that we give him things to chew on. I like to give him a variety. And if he's chewing on something he's not supposed to, like if he picks up a shoe, I'm going to tell him no. I could ask for a drop it and then give him something in return that he is able to chew on. I like to practice the drop it command far more than I use it for something that's, he's not supposed to be chewing on. So I do that by just incorporating myself into his play. He loves toys. He loves our rug over here. He's kind of a little dragon where he'll take all the toys and go underneath the ottoman. But when we play, I just incorporate myself into his play. I like to ask for that drop it just to make it fun and give him the toy back, which I'm going to go grab this over here. Come here. Good boy, Bear. Which I'm going to keep him right here. Bear, drop it. Good boy. Good boy. So when he drops it, I'll tell him good or good boy. Okay. And then when I throw it, I'll say okay, so he gets it back. Bear, come here. Hey. Good boy. Drop it. Good boy. Okay. So to work on the drop it command, I just incorporate myself into his play. If he ever refused or he ignored me, I would tell him no and then take it from him. Bear, come here. No, you forgot your toy. You forgot it. You forgot it. Come here. So the easiest way to take it from him is by going around the top of his muzzle and just curling his lips in around his teeth. So not clamping down, it's not hurting him. Okay, but it's an easy way to get him to let go of it. We have had a lot of practice with drop it, especially with garbage and sticks and all sorts of stuff outside. So he has a wonderful drop it command. I expect him to spit that out when I ask for it. You'll notice that I will say his name first, and there's a brief pause, just making sure that he's paying attention to me, and then I deliver that command. And that command is very distinct. Commands are a command. I need them to be different than my normal speaking cadence, and I need them not to be a question. So I'm telling him to do it, he does it, he gets rewarded. Bear! Good boy. Oh, you almost made it all the way back with your toy, huh? So just one more time here. Bear, drop it. Good boy. Good boy. So once again, if he ignores that, I will tell him no, and then I will remove it. Okay. See if we can get him to stay on his bed with it. Nope. Go into his rug. Bear! Come here. Oh, good boy. Drop it. Good dog. Good boy. If I'm asking him to drop like a bully stick or like a piece of garbage or something that he's not going to get back, then I will replace it. I will give him a treat in return. However, I never mix treats and toys. I want that to be very separate so that I don't want him thinking that I'm just going to take stuff away and not pay him in return. And I want the toy to be the reward, not the treat in that case. And with the garbage, I'm going to give him a treat so that he doesn't think that he should play keep away with something that I really don't want him to have. So, okay. The last thing is with children, so with small children, I do like to make sure that he does have a toy available, so that way he has something to direct his mouth to, and he's not directing it towards a pant leg or jumping on a kid. So that way they can play with him and they can throw that toy and direct him away. My rules are with children though, I don't let kids do commands. Now, if they're playing with Bear, usually if I just take a hold of the toy, he's not going to wrestle it away from me. He's going to be very polite and just let it go. But if he gets to wrestle it away after a kid asks for a drop it, then he's going to think, oh, this is a fun game, I should play keep away. You can see that he's just a very affectionate guy. He loves to be with you, loves attention. Okay, so that is our manners. Now, I'm going to slide this bed out here, and we're going to go into our obedience commands. So with both our manners and our obedience commands, a big part of it is helping teach Bear some impulse control. So stays were very important because Bear's impulse control was next to nothing, which most puppies are. It just took him a little bit longer to understand that it's far more rewarding for him to hold that stay than to break and come running and be right next to me. So we're going to start off with our place command, which is my absolute favorite command. I find it to be super useful, and it really helps Bear understand that by being calm and in control and having that separation is a good thing. So the way that we do this is I'm going to use this bed. I'm going to say, Bear, place, and I will point. As soon as all four paws, good boy, are on the bed, I will tell him good and give him a reward. Now, I will continue to reinforce the behavior of being on the bed as he continues to stay. And I will also vary my reinforcements depending on the distraction. So just me and him in here, that's not that big of a distraction, so I'm not going to reinforce it near as often as if I had my kids here and they were running around. No, place. So there he broke. I'm going to send him right back, and I'm going to make sure that he's stable before I give him another reward. So I don't want him thinking, oh, if I break, then he'll send me back and give me another treat. Good. So the harder the distraction, the more I'll reinforce. The less of a distraction, the less I'll reinforce. Which, ignoring bear is a huge distraction to him. He thinks, oh, they forgot about me. I better make sure they know I'm still here and they need to give me treats. So you saw when he broke, I immediately told him no, sent him back. When he's able to come off, I'll say, okay, good boy. He comes off, I can pet him, but I'm not gonna give him another treat. He does not get a treat for coming off. I need him to understand that he gets way more treats, way more rewards by staying in that place than by coming off. Bear, place. Good. So we've been trying to really lengthen all of his stays by adding our 3Ds. So that's distance, duration, distraction. I add those one at a time at the beginning, and then I start to mix them up. Bear's biggest distraction is me ignoring him or leaving the room. But as you saw, he is going to break. Good. And I just need to make sure that I help him succeed so he doesn't get away with doing an incorrect behavior. We've been working on building this up to about 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes with various distractions. The harder the distraction, once again, the more I'm going to reinforce, and probably the shorter the stay is actually going to be. Okay, good boy, good boy. See, now he's like, oh, are you sure? Are you sure you want me to come off? So I already said okay once, so now I just might be, bear, okay, good boy. Now the second time he didn't respond, so this, I'm going to say, okay, and I'll give him a little pressure off. So he doesn't get to just ignore that in hopes to get more rewards. Place. Good. So now we're gonna attempt the hard one. Good. Okay. One more time, one more variation. So this is how we build solid stays. Good boy. So add a lot of variables, build it up. Okay, good boy. And here, ignore it again. Okay, help him out. Nope, I'm gonna move it. Okay, the goal is for that place to be a universal command, and so we've been practicing with anything that has a defined boundary. So we've done boxes or rugs, towels. So anytime I introduce a new place, I want to help him understand where the boundary is, and so you're going to kind of guide him on, and then when he breaks, I'll correct him, send him back, and I want to keep those initial sorry, lost the wording, but those initial times on a new place, very short, positive, quick correction, quick reward, let him off and help him understand the boundary. Very similar is our crate command, where I just tell him, crate, nope, bear, crate. So I'm going to point. So you notice there, okay, so he did the wrong thing, so I corrected him, and then I could repeat the command. But if he would just hesitated, crate, I would just hold my hand out and help him read my body language. He gets a treat for going in, not for coming out. If his head is sticking out, that's fine. However, if he sticks a single paw out, I will correct that. Okay, good boy. Crate. And this is another command I want to practice far more than I use it to lock him up. Because if I, no, crate. So there he broke. I'm not going to reward that one. Okay, good boy. Crate. If I only use this when I lock him up, he will quickly realize that, and then he won't want to go into the crate. Okay, good dog, good boy. Crate. Good. Okay, if he really didn't want to go into the crate, I might just simply guide him in by the back of his collar. I'm not going to shove him in. I don't want to create a negative experience, but I will just simply guide him in. So notice there, he opted to go into the crate, so then he could come out when he wants. I didn't send him in, so I'm not going to reward him, and I'm not going to release him. He can come out when he wants. When introducing a new crate, you may have to take that treat and maybe stick your hand inside the crate to help him go in, and then reward him when he turns around. Okay, but I would start with the full standard by just pointing, tapping if you need to. I don't want to throw treats into the crate. Okay. Okay, so the next 3 have very distinct hand signals. So we have a sit, which is a scoop over the nose. Down is off to the side and a flat palm. And then stay is a stop sign. Okay, good boy. Now, if he ignores me and tries to look away, I will correct him, and then I can repeat. So the down was the one that he wanted to ignore the most. I would ask for a down, and he would just kind of look away and just didn't want to do it. So we spent a lot of time building this down up and quickening it, helping him understand what I asked for. Also, after we did that, then he would go down and he would quickly pop up to try and get a treat. So we had to make sure that was clear, that he doesn't get to just pop up until I release him and say, okay. So with all of this, if I ask for that down, so I'll put him in a sit first, and if I ask for that down, which is once again flat palm, off to the side, standing straight up, if I do it out in front of me, he's gonna try and sniff my hand. So it's off to the side. And if he ignores me, then I'll just simply get lower. And if he continued to ignore me, then I would say no, and I would help him go down. But I always want to start up high and then get lower if needs be. Now, we do have both a sit and a down stay. If he lays down during the sit stay, I'm okay with that. The down is more more of a solid stay anyway. You have more points of contact. However, if I put him in a down stay, he's not allowed to come up into a sit. Bear, come here. Sit, stay. No, so there, that's a break. And he just wasn't paying attention. Stay. So I corrected him, reset him. Okay, once again, our stays, we're adding those 3Ds, so distance, duration, distraction. Come here. So here, sit, down, stay. We're going to add a little variation, throw a treat on the floor. One of the bigger distractions for Bear. Okay, good boy. Now, if he breaks a stay once or twice, I'm just going to correct him. So I'll tell him no and have him do it again. However, if he breaks a third time, like 3 times in a row, it's too hard. Whether there's, it's too hard of a distraction or maybe too long of a duration, maybe it's something that's going on internally. Sometimes we just don't even know. And so it's important not to get frustrated or push him to the point of frustration. So if he breaks that 3rd time in a row, I'm then going to simplify it. I'm going to say, you know what, it's too hard. For right now, at this moment, it's too hard. So I'll simplify it, help him get a success, and then we can either build it back up, or maybe if we've been working on it for a while, I'll just say, you know what, let's be done for right now. Because once again, I don't want him to get frustrated, and I don't want to get frustrated. So if he breaks a 3rd time in a row, simplify it. Even if that means that I'm going to get right in front of him, have him go down, have him do a 2-second stay to reward him, I want to get that success and be done. I don't want to push this to a point of frustration, because that's how you damage commands. You get to where he doesn't want to do it because he's frustrated, or you got mad and then he's, you know, scared of the command or whatever's around, or of you. So, okay, last one is our leave it command. And I'm going to grab, ooh, how about some cheese? I'm going to grab a high value reward to give him, and I am going to have him leave another thing of treats. So anytime that I practice with food inside, I like to have something that's different, something good, so that he learns, oh, if they ask me to leave it, I'm going to get something good in return. So we're going to start by leave it. So I'm going to put this bowl down, and where he was good, kind of right in my face, I'll ask for leave it before I even set it down. Good. And I will continue to reward him as he continues to leave it alone. And if he went for it, I would say, no, leave it. So now we're going to make it a little harder. Nope. We'll even spill that a hair more. So we've had a lot of practice. Leave it. Good. With leave it, because him and his brother love to find trash. They love to find anything on the side of the road. So we practice drop it and leave it all the time. Good boy. And you'll notice I want him to ignore it. I want him to be able to walk away, and I will continue to reward him as he continues to leave it alone. If we were on a walk and he was on a leash, I would say leave it. But the moment he recognizes that it's there, I would say leave it. Oh, good boy, and I'd reward him as we walk past. So I only ask for a leave it for things that I can take Bear away from, or I can take it away from Bear. I don't use it for like potted plants or baseboards or anything that he's going to have constant access to in the house and eventually be unsupervised, because I don't want to diminish that leave it command. I want to make sure that I'm there to manage it and make sure that he leaves it alone. So now the hard part. Your hands deliver everything good, right? So when I go to clean it up, or if my hands are down there, that's when the leave it gets tricky. So just like when I was spilling it, I kind of pushed him away. I'll do that same thing when I'm cleaning it up. So if you were in the kitchen, you drop something you didn't want him to get, you say leave it, and then I can give him a little, leave it. And I don't want him rushing in, going for my hands. Here, we'll even give him the real distraction. And, oh, I dropped one. Oh, he got close. Nope, leave it. So there's the hard one. Nope, leave it. Good. No, leave it. So you can see I set him up for different variations, different difficulties. Good. But I'm prepared to follow through and manage him if he continued to try and grab it. Good. So continue to reward him as he continues to leave it alone. Okay, so that's this section of obedience commands. I'm now going to rotate our camera so that I can take advantage of more of the training room, and we're going to go over the leash work. So we're going to start with his heel, what to do if he pulls, talk about engagement when he becomes reactive, and then we'll do the long lead, and we'll end with his recall command. So let me switch this around and we'll go to that point. Bear, heel. Good boy. No. Good. All right, so the heel is for you. This is not how we exercise Bear. This is how we get from point A to point B, or if we're passing distractions. Good boy. So the heel is a very attention-based walk. I need his focus on me and not on the distractions around. So out of everything that we've taught Bear, everything that we've worked on, good. This one is going to require the most effort on your part to make sure that it gets back to our standard and that you have a dog that can focus on you and not become reactive. So the heel, he's by my left side, right next to my knee. If he's half a step in front of me, that's okay, but he needs to be right here, not pulling, focusing on me. So like I said, we use this to get from point A to point B, or to focus on me instead of distraction. So I use a heel when maybe there's another dog, or there's a jogger, a bicycle. Nope. So Bear's job is to focus on me. So this is a very job specific or very focused walk. In order to have a good heel, you need to have a good relationship with your dog. For him to ignore a heavy distraction and focus on you, he has to trust that you are going to take care of him. Now, a couple tips to help this work out. One, try and always put a distraction on your right side and the dog on your left side. So that way my body is blocking him and showing him that I'm under control. So when we start this, I'm just going to tell him heel and start walking. So it's heel. You'll notice I kind of walked through him there. Bear's biggest weakness is he wants to be as close to the treats as possible. Good boy. So during this, I'm going to give him a lot of feedback, and I am going to give him treats while we're walking. And especially if we're passing that distraction, I'm going to tell him, oh, good boy, and I'm going to give him those treats. So we've been working on Bear also matching my pace. So if I speed up, he speeds up. Good boy. Good boy. If I slow down, he slows down. Good dog. And once again, I'm going to give him a lot of feedback. If he starts to get a little ahead, I give him just a little pop back. Because here he's not pulling, he's just getting a little ahead. And when I stop, I expect him to stop and to sit. Once again, his problem is, once I reward that, he'll just keep kind of moving in front. Nope. To get next to that treat pouch. So if I'm stopped because maybe we're waiting at a crosswalk, or maybe talking to somebody, this is a time that I would also use a stay, just to make sure that he stays right here and he's not switching sides of me. Which during a heel, he can't cross over at all. And you'll notice, like, this is a short leash anyway, it's about 5 feet. I give him about 18 inches of space. So that way, the moment that he loses his focus, I can bring it right back. Now, Bear is never allowed to pull. It doesn't matter the length of the leash, he is not allowed to pull. Dogs pull because we let them pull. And that's because we don't put the effort in early, okay? So, once again, whether we're on a long lead or we're in a heel, he's not allowed to pull. Now, he is going to get distracted at times. So the moment that I see him recognize a distraction, so maybe we've got a jogger approaching us, and I see him notice, just a little loss of focus there, I'm going to say his name, or maybe make some noise to get him to look back at me. I could also use, a watch me command. So watch me is just to gain eye contact. Doesn't have to be prolonged eye contact. See, as soon as I reach into that bag, he thinks that he needs to get closer. No. So I'm going to bring him back. So I can use the watch me command, which is just to get brief eye contact, or I can use like kissy noises. I can use his name, just something to redirect him back. I'm going to try and get him to look away. Watch me. Okay, go boy. He makes eye contact, I reward him. So again, it's a splinter of eye contact because it's just refocusing him. So that's just once he gets distracted, or if he's just barely distracted, but he's not fixating on it yet. But then if he actually started to pull, so he started progressing towards something, immediately I will correct him. So I will say no, and I will give him 2 pops on the leash. So if you only manage to get 1 pop, that's okay. It's important that we're just very quick with our timing of correction. So you even notice that he started to go away and he hit the end of the leash and he corrected himself. So notice how he is receptive to that leash pop. So I don't use a pull. I'm not going to pull him back, because I do use leash pressure to give him information of which direction we're going. So if I'm going to turn into him, I give him a little pressure back. See, I can turn into him so he's not getting kneed. If I'm going to turn away, I give him a little pressure here. So I'm not popping him, I'm not yanking him around, but I am using leash pressure. So if he started to pull, I need that to be different. So I would say no, and then I'd pop up. Okay, so I'll step in, put that slack, and pop up. If that works and he focuses back on me, I'll say, oh, good boy, and we'll keep walking. Good dog. I'll give it a couple steps, then reward him. So I don't want to immediately reward him when he looks at me if I've just corrected at pulling, because I don't want him to pull to get a reward. So it's no, pop, pop. If he continued to pull, I would do that one more time, but I would be a little bit more firm. So it would be, he gets distracted, no, pop, pop, no, pop, pop. All right, so I get more firm, a little more firm of a correction. I don't want to yank him around. It's never about inflicting harm. It's about regaining his attention so then I can change his behavior. If that works, I'll tell him good boy and we'll keep walking. If it doesn't work, I'm going to come to a complete stop. And then we're going to have a little pep talk. So I am not going to advance towards a distraction if he is pulling. So I come to a complete stop, which he should recognize. I'll give him a little pressure back if I need to, and he should sit. At this point, this is where I look at what his behavior is. If he can refocus on me easily, great. We're going to practice our heel. We're going to keep working on it. And in this situation, I would want to practice my heel. Nope. And so this is where I'll incorporate some corrective U-turns or some sporadic walking. So if he focused on me here and we started to heel, the moment he started pulling again, I would do one of two corrections. If he's next to me and he just kind of gets out in front like this, I would step through him and I would walk away at a quick pace. And I'd step through him and we can go back towards the distraction. Oh, we're turning away again. So that way he has to watch me or else he's going to kind of get pushed to the side. The other one, if he actually was really pulling or he got distracted and got out in front of me, I would then just turn and kind of pop this way. So it's a corrective U-turn. Nope, you got to focus on me, otherwise you're getting corrected. But that's only if he's still in a receptive state. If he got reactive, so this distraction was too much, he starts barking, or maybe he's terrified and he's trying to get away from it. That's becoming reactive. And he's in a state where, like, by trying to expect him to heel or by giving him a bunch of commands, it's not going to work. He's in this zone where he's just bark, 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 and all commands are kind of just out the window. So if that happens, I am going to get distance away from the distraction. So when I do that, I'm going to walk through him and I'm going to back him up and then step away. Sorry, I probably left the frame. I'll do that again. So in that case, I'm going to step through him. I'm going to back him up. Good. We're going to get distance. And sometimes you might only have to get 10 feet. And it's just move to the side of the trail and then I can engage with him. Sometimes it might be 100 feet. Sometimes it's like, oh, let's move, let's get away. But we're just going to get enough distance to where he can come out of that reactivity and start to focus on you again. If he continues to get reactive, sometimes it might be better just to end the walk and say, you know what, we need to go somewhere with less distractions or go at a time where there's less distractions. But I'm going to get a little bit of distance. I'm going to back him up and then I'm going to put my back to the distraction. So that way my body language is saying, you don't have to worry about it. If he keeps trying to push around me, I'm going to correct him. So I'm not going to be harsh. I'm not going to be mean because I don't want him to get more reactive. But I will just, no, and I might pop him. But I'm going to reward simple victories. So he's sitting, oh, good boy. You're looking at me, good boy. I'm going to be very positive and reward calm, control, simple victories. He's being good here. Then we'll open up and we're going to watch the distraction. And as he's calm, I'm going to reward him. Then I might incorporate a sit or a watch me. And I'm just going to reward these simple behaviors. Once the distraction's gone, then we can continue our walk. I like to set aside time to practice engagement. So I actually call it the art of doing nothing, where it's like, let's go to the park. We're going to go sit on a park bench and watch the world go by. Every time a jogger or a bicycle or a stroller passes and you're calm, I'm going to reward you. You bark, I'm going to correct you. You start getting antsy, I'm going to give you a simple correction and then reward when you calm down. So I'm going to build confidence, help him feel secure in those situations, which he's not a super reactive dog. He will bark and he will notice distractions, but he's pretty easy to regain that focus. But during this first week or two, he is going to be extremely stressed out. So that's when you would see this reactivity really come out. And that's why we want to limit those distractions. And really, as you start to practice your heel, do it in an area where there's no distractions, even if that means it's in your house. Just like how I'm doing it in this room, just practice and focus on him looking at you and being in the correct position and rewarding that. So we get a lot of successful repetition with the heel. As he's doing well inside, now let's go outside. Let's go walk around the backyard. You're doing well there, let's go to the front yard and let's go down a house, back a house, down a house, back a house. Now we'll attempt the block and just gradually build it up over the next few weeks. Don't push him too hard, too fast with the heel because he's already going to be stressed out. You don't need to incorporate heavy distractions. So instead, we still need to give him exercise. We still want to walk him, and that's where the long lead comes in. So I love long lead walks. That is way more beneficial to exercise your dog than taking him on a short leash. Dogs need to be able to sniff. They need to be able to check things out. They need to learn their environment. And they need to run around. Otherwise, you're going to get a very overweight dog. So I love the long lead. During our long lead walks, we go at his pace. If he wants to stop and check something out, we're going to stop and check something out. I'm just going to walk. I get used to stepping over this leash, reeling it in as I need. You're getting tired, so you're wanting to chase the leash. So if he actually bites it, I'll just pop that leash and tell him no. But during this type of walk, he's still not allowed to pull. So anytime he hits the end of the leash or he's getting near the end of the leash, I practice my recall command. I think this is the best way to practice your recall command because it's really rewarding and positive for him, and we're just getting a lot of reps. So while we're walking around, which the hardest part is Bear doesn't always get very much distance from me, so practicing this sometimes can be tricky. Should we distract you with some food? I'm going to toss a treat over there. So when I call him, I'll say, Bear, come. Good boy, okay. So notice that is different than my normal speaking cadence. I say his name. There's a brief pause, so that's to make sure that he hears me, which if he was very distracted and he didn't even pick up his head or his ear didn't even move when I said his name, I wouldn't ask for the come command yet. I would say his name one more time, but maybe be a little bit louder, and then give him the come command. So that way, I just stack the odds in my favor. And I'm going to say that very clear. No. Oh, we're getting getting tired, huh? So it's Bear, come. Good boy. Okay. Once he initiates that action of coming to me, I'm going to say, good boy, good boy. And once he gets to me, it's okay, and he gets the treat. All right, so the more distance we have, the more I'm going to encourage this behavior. All right, so that's the point of the good marker, is to tell him, hey, you're doing the right thing, keep doing it. So in this case, it's, yeah, you're coming to me, keep coming, all right? Bear, come. Good boy, okay. And if he gets distracted or if he fails, you have this nice long lead to reel him in. So if he ignores me, I'm going to say no, and I will pop that leash. Right? It doesn't take a lot of pressure here for Bear to cave in. I said he's very receptive to it. Come here. So I'm going to set him up and sit. Good boy. No. So I'm not asking for a stay, but I also want him to stay sitting. So it's kind of no. Trying to set him up. So now let's pretend that I said no, come. So I'm really setting him up. But if I just give him a little pressure, good boy, good boy. Notice how quickly he will cave into that pressure. And obviously we're inside and he was really focused on me. But same thing outside. I give him that little pressure and tell him no. He comes to me very, very quick. So practice, practice, practice. As you feel like he's doing well, you want him off leash, then I start in like a fenced in area. And I'm going to take him off the lead and I will practice this recall command. If he hesitates at all, he goes right back on the lead. Okay. If he is off leash and he ignores you, you don't have that leash to reel him in. So what I would do in that case is if he ignored me, I'd called him to come, blew me off. Immediately I would say no, and I'd start walking towards him. So Bear will recognize that. You saw how receptive he is to that no. So if I said, Bear, come, and he ignored me, I would say, no, and then start walking to him. So if I got all the way to him, oh, good boy, good boy. So here he stood up. He's like, what are you asking? Good dog. So then I could start backing up and help him follow me to reinforce that command. So like I said, this might be a little bit confusing, and I apologize. I'm just trying to show you how I would deal with him ignoring me. But if I had to get all the way to him, I would hook a leash on, or maybe even take his collar, and then I'd say, Bear, come. Good boy, okay. And so that way I could really follow through and help him understand what the expectation is. But I'll show you if I can get him to lay back down what an off-leash recall looks like. But if you're not prepared to go and get him, don't ask for it. So I really do kind of put a protective bubble around my recall command, because I think it's your most important command. So he doesn't ever get to ignore that. But this is just Bear. He's always attached to the hip. That's why he likes to whine in the crate, because he just wants to be with you. He is the classic definition of a Velcro dog. He thinks he needs to be literally your shadow all the time. Here we go. Bear, come. Good boy. Okay. So that's our demonstration. Oh, good boy. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. We've really enjoyed having Bear here. He's a great dog. Oh, very, very sweet. Loves affection, loves people. So I think you're really going to enjoy him. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know. Thanks.